What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic celebration, taking a look at a couple of attention-grabbing posts, and sharing my haphazardly formulated responses to them. This is episode 105 in the fatlogic series. And I can't wait to be treated to some fresh fat acceptance hot takes. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Summer body culture stakes a claim on doing the work and getting results. But actually, if you see a fat person in a crop top / bikini / minimal clothing, you're looking at the result of the hardest work you'll ever do in your life. Often right up to the minute you step out the door.
Oh good lord, could they be any more embarrassing? Like, just no, putting on a bikini as a fat person is not harder work than going to the gym day after day, cleaning up your diet, and maintaining the discipline required to achieve a lean summer body, and it's not even close. Only someone with a massively inflated ego could even think something like that. Let alone post it online. Unbelievable, truly. I can accept that it might be difficult for some fat people to show their bodies off in public. And I do not wish to diminish this mental barrier. But it's hardly work to wear a particular item of clothing, is it? It only feels like work because of how self-conscious you are. And while I'm not unsympathetic with regard to this insecurity, it should really be leading you to reconsider your unhealthy lifestyle, and not your choice of clothes. So if anything, the real work that is going on here is the mental gymnastics these fat activists have to engage in to maintain their belief that being fat is advantageous in any way. What's more, the notion that being fat is hard work doesn't exactly cohere with the other fat acceptance insistence that diet and exercise are just not worth the effort. Like, you can't justify your unhealthy lifestyle by saying that weight loss is too much of a drain on one's time and energy, while simultaneously arguing that the real hard work is just existing as a fat person. Because if your priority is to save up your effort for things other than your body, then why would you deliberately choose the harder path of being fat? It just doesn't add up. I wish these fat activists would pick a lane. They can tell themselves that they're too cool, too unconcerned, and too busy with other things to bother with diet and exercise. Or they can tell us all how they're actually working super hard just being fat. But they can't have it both ways. As hard as they might try, even fat activists don't get to have their cake and eat it too, haha.
So much body positivity just boils down to you're not as fat as you think, and only serves to reinforce fat phobia. Your before and after slouching photos are fat phobic. Your reassurance that everyone has a pouch there, that's where your organs are, is fat phobic. Your comparison of different jeans that are all different sizes in different stores, but all fit the same, is fat phobic. Anything that's meant to reassure thin people they're not fat is fat phobic. Anything that fails to acknowledge that some people actually are fat is fat phobic. And you can't be body positive and fat phobic. They are mutually exclusive. Hashtag fat phobia. Hashtag body positivity.
Not gonna lie, this one is kinda interesting. Unsurprisingly, I don't agree with the poster that anything that aims to reassure someone that they aren't fat is necessarily problematic, but I do think that the post identifies an internal conflict within the body positivity movement, and raises some worthwhile questions about how helpful some of these reassurances actually are. So, let's discuss. To begin with, I'm hardly an authority on body positivity, and I tend to favor body neutrality as an antidote to body image issues. So I could be a little off in my perception of the body positive discourse. But I get the impression that there's a rather awkward and perhaps a reconcilable divide, between the people who want body positivity to be about acknowledging the kinds of bodily imperfections that everybody has, and the people who want it to be about the glorification of fat bodies specifically. As this post demonstrates, having these two groups attempt to coexist in a single space can easily lead to problems, especially when it comes to the categorization of fatness as either a near universal imperfection or its own rare form of beauty. Most thin devotees of body positivity likely don't want to be fat, so they seek to downplay their own fatness and make themselves and their peers feel better about their own size by sharing the emotional burden and insisting that everyone has fat, but no one is like fat. Fat positive members of the community, on the other hand, reject this framing for a couple of reasons. The most significant is that they don't want fatness to be something undesirable that everyone just has to put up with. They want it to be seen as a genuinely positive attribute that elevates the truly fat people of the world into the rarefied air of a beauty echelon that is all their own. Naturally, I take issue with this impulse, as I don't think that we should be promoting obesity as a beauty ideal to strive for. But on the related issue of thin people constantly reassuring each other that they aren't fat, I can see why the legitimately fat members of the body positivity movement might feel a little betrayed. I mean, most of these thinner body positivity followers will pay lip service to the beauty of plus-size women, and they may even go along with the more radical messaging of fat acceptance and haze. But when you get right down to it, they wouldn't let themselves get that big in a million years. It's one rule for me, and another for thee. And being real, the fat activists are not totally wrong in pointing out this insincerity. Even if their priorities, in focusing on perceived slights rather than their own physical health, are just as misplaced as ever. Where am I going with all of this? I don't know, really. I'm just chewing on my popcorn and enjoying the show. I can't see the body positivity movement overcoming its internal strife anytime soon. Because when you have two competing visions fighting for supremacy, feelings are inevitably going to get hurt. But let's just say, I for one won't be losing any sleep over this disharmony. 'Cause it's all just more content to me, haha. Oh yeah, and on the value of reassurances like slouching photos, I have kinda mixed feelings. On the one hand, it's always good to remind people that social media is not reality, and that people do not necessarily look the same way in real life as they do in their online photos. Because God knows that seeing other people looking perfect on social media all the time doesn't do anyone's self-esteem any good. At the same time, though, some of these pictures that are supposed to show off the less glamorous side of life are so exaggerated in their efforts to make beautiful people look bad that they lose their credibility. Like, we all go out in public. Right? We've all been to the beach, or the pool, or the gym. We know that some people do, in fact, have enviable bodies, and no amount of candid, body positive representation is going to change that. So to a certain extent, I think we all need to learn to live with the fact that some people just do look that good, but that it's okay, because there are more important things than having flawless skin or a perfect beach body. Overall, I guess my position is that we should applaud people who post more candid or realistic pictures of themselves, but that we shouldn't rely on pictures of beautiful influencers contorting themselves to look as fat as possible, to enable us to cope with the existence of people better looking than ourselves. Because realistically, you are never going to be the prettiest, thinnest, or muscliest person in the world, but you're the only one of you. And that is more than enough. Sorry, that was cheesy, haha. I guess I'm just in a sentimental mood or something. Let's move on before I embarrass myself any further.
Imagine if conversion therapy, or skin whitening cream, was advertised as much as weight loss. Imagine. Hashtag worthy thoughts. Hashtag fatphobia.
Sighs. Did we really have to go there? Like, really? What is it that compels these fat activists to always represent the grievances in the most overblown and inflammatory ways imaginable? It's remarkable. You'd be forgiven for thinking it was just at mealtimes that such people struggle to control themselves. But with posts like these, clearly it's not just in their eating that they find themselves unable to exercise moderation. Haha. Seriously though, I'm getting mighty tired of having to explain, over and over again, why being fat is not the same as being gay, or having a certain skin color. But here it is, for the millionth time. People cannot control their sexuality, nor can they control their skin color. Conversion therapy, on top of being an utterly barbaric and inhumane practice, does not work. All it achieves is traumatizing innocent young people, and perhaps scaring them into hiding who they are, out of a fear of further brutal punishment. While skin whitening cream is a superficial treatment that doesn't actually change someone's race or ethnicity, and doesn't alter their skin tone on a permanent basis. In other words, if a black person uses skin whitening cream, they do not suddenly stop being black, or become white, and importantly, neither skin bleaching nor conversion therapy brings any kind of health benefit. And in the case of conversion therapy, it is likely to have the opposite effect, and people would be much, much better off without it. Let's compare all of this back to weight loss now, shall we? Weight loss through moderate calorie restriction does work. It does not require that you be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment, and it brings about real, meaningful change in a person's health and life, not just superficial change to the way they look. In other words, it's nothing like skin whitening cream or conversion therapy. And I find these comparisons, particularly the one to conversion therapy, flat out offensive. Like, what gives you the right to use other people's real-life trauma to bolster your own imagined victimhood at being encouraged to go on a diet? It's delusional and gross. So next time you're thinking of posting something as mind-bendingly stupid as this, just stop, take a few deep breaths, and don't fricking do it. Okay, cool.
Doctors will say, I'm not going to treat you because you're fat. Then be like, fat people are more unhealthy and die earlier, and refuse to see the correlation.
Jesus, this is infuriating. Like, the sheer smug arrogance of this tweet, when it's really nothing more than an exercise in lazy excuse making, is something else. This person, somehow, actually thinks that they're nailing it. And it seriously makes me want to gouge my eyes out. For starters, when doctors refuse to offer obese patients particular treatments, they are not doing this because they hate fat people, or because they want to punish them for their fatness. They are doing it because the treatments are difficult to administer, unsafe, or ineffective for obese people, and because they have a duty to provide patients with the best care possible, in light of their particular medical circumstances, and not to subject them to unnecessary danger by providing them with treatments that they are ill-suited for. The way this post portrays doctors as mean and stupid for not indulging their fantastical notions about how medicine ought to be practiced is extremely obnoxious, and frankly, ungrateful. Like, you are not a doctor, and you don't know what you're talking about. If you had gotten your way about how you wanted to be treated, you'd probably be dead by now. So show a little humility, and listen to the real experts, for frick's sake. Additionally, the implication of this post, that the poor health outcomes and reduced life expectancy associated with obesity but caused primarily by a refusal of doctors to treat them, is not only shockingly inaccurate, but also highly irresponsible. Instead of confronting the very real harm that obesity causes, of which we have abundant and compelling evidence, these clowns would prefer to blame hard-working medical professionals for all of their problems, so that they don't have to take any responsibility for anything, or make any kind of effort to change their self-destructive habits. They want to be healthy, but they can't bring themselves to make the necessary sacrifices. So they cope with their increasingly alarming situation by blaming the very people who are most committed to helping them in their doctors. And they share this kind of delusional rhetoric all over social media, so that they can find positive reinforcement for their laughable beliefs. And in the end, nobody benefits. The fat people don't get better, because they refuse to listen to reason, even coming from a qualified expert. Their families and friends fail to get through to them, because they are so comfortably ensconced in their online echo chambers, and the doctors can only bash their head against the wall in frustration at the sheer madness they are being forced to contend with. Sighs. Sad, man. Just sad. I don't know what else to say.
I used to drink tons of Diet Coke, but it's been 1 month since I had a drop. I want to share some changes I've observed in myself over that time. My health is unchanged. I'm less happy. My one source of joy is gone. Thanks for encouraging me on this journey.
Okay, so, I don't know who thought this belonged on r/fatlogic. But I'm here to tell you all that it doesn't. And I, for one, refuse to stand for this Diet Coke slander. Because Diet Coke is magic in a can. And you can't convince me otherwise. Seriously though, I love me some Diet Coke. And I don't want to imagine life without it. But I get that it's not for everyone. Some people don't like the taste. Some people say that it gives them headaches. And some people probably just don't want to support a giant company like Coca-Cola. And I'm cool with all of that. If you don't like it, don't drink it. More for me. But how does Diet Coke end up on r/fatlogic, of all places? Like, nobody ever got fat from drinking too much Diet Coke, haha. And if all of the people drinking regular Coke switched over to the diet version, there would probably be far fewer fat people than there currently are. So if anything, Diet Coke deserves to be applauded, celebrated, held up before the admiring eyes of the world, as the divine nectar that it truly is. Not disrespected, shunned, or lumped in with the lowly full-sugar sodas of the world. As far as I'm concerned, this tweet being posted to r/fatlogic isn't just disrespectful. It's downright sacrilege, and I fully expect to lose sleep over it. So thanks for that. I'm really shook up at this. Man, I mean, what's going to be next on the chopping block? Pepsi Max, Diet Sprite, the Monster Ultra range. I shudder to think. Credit to the people who can live without zero-sugar drinks. I applaud your stoic resolve. Truly, I do, but I don't want to live that way, damn it. I need my Diet Coke. Wah. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Didn't I? But you get the idea. Right, I really like my Diet Coke, and I won't let you take it away from me, haha. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed reading these posts with me, and that you found my responses to them enlightening, entertaining, or useful in some way. What do you think? Is wearing a bikini as a fat person harder work than achieving a perfect summer body? Is body positivity really just a front for fatphobia? Is weight loss like conversion therapy or skin whitening cream? Are doctors to blame for all of fat people's health problems? Does Diet Coke belong on r/fatlogic? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll take away all of your zero sugar drinks. And you'll be forced to either drink the full sugar versions, or stick to water. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.